I lay on my bed that evening, poking at Velvet Remedy's Pip Bucket, as the radio on my own played yet another reiteration of that tragic day. I couldn't believe it. Velvet Remedy was gone. I couldn't understand. How could she leave? Why would she go? The door to Stable 2 was closed and sealed. Only the Overmare knew the secret to opening it, assuming it could even open, which obviously it could. But why? Nobody really knew what was outside, if there was anything out there at all. Historical books suggest the world outside was blasted, lifeless, and poisonous, and that was, at least, the common logical assumption. But a ghost story some pony told me at my first and only slumber party had given me horrible nightmares that still lurked in the shadows of my head. A tale of a pony who somehow got the stable door to open and stepped outside, only to find out that there was no outside, just great nothingness that whisked the pony away, devouring her soul so that she was nothingness too. Empirically, that I knew that wasn't the case, but the mental image still haunted me. The two things I did understand was that Velvet Remedy had gotten me to remove her pickbuck, so the Overmare couldn't track her with it, and that I was screwed. Being the smallest pony of my age, I used to get, and lasting my cutie mark, did not facilitate building friendships with my peer ponies. Mother honestly didn't help either, nor did waking up screaming at my first slumber party. So I was used to being alone, but never had enemies before. I've been beneath the notice of other ponies, but I've never had one hate me. I really couldn't blame them either, even though it was totally unfair. They were upset and hurting, and needed a scapegoat. The news hadn't mentioned me by name, just Velvet Remedy's custom-decorated pip-buck was found in the possession of a pip-buck technician pony. But there was a whole two of us, and it wasn't hard for every pony to figure out, even without the scene outside our room earlier. The Overmare was speaking on the radio. We are all feeling this loss, but I want to remind every pony that Velvet Remedy chose to do this. She chose to leave her home, to abandon us. Her family. She betrayed my trust and betrayed yours, just as she betrayed the trust of the pony who she tricked into removing her pip-buck, ensuring that we could not find her. I know many of you are angry or hurt. I urge you to direct that anger where it truly belongs. As thankful as I was for her words, it wasn't going to change the resentment that I would face every day, even if every pony kept themselves hung in the air like old smoke. I had distracted myself with the errant pip bucket, taking note of the encrypted file. I had spotted it yesterday, figuring that it was probably an unfinished new song. I didn't want to open it then, both out of respect for Velvet Remedy's privacy and a dislike of spoilers. But I guess it doesn't matter anymore. The song will never be played. I opened a pouch in my utility bag and withdrew an access tool that would allow me to remove the encryption safely and easily. It was a sound file. I played it. The override code for opening the door to Stable 2 is CMC3BFF. I see what you did there. I shut up in a surprise at what I heard. Swiftly, I turned off the radio and played it again. I didn't recognize the voice. It was female, kind of sweet. It had a strange accent that didn't sound like anyone in the stable. But now I knew how Velvet Remedy left. I must have sat there for hours contemplating what I should do, but finally I made a choice. I was going to go outside after her. I was going to bring her back. Okay, now we're getting to the part where I stopped reading before. I started doing this. So after I hit that point, I'll tell you guys, and it'll be new for me. I stood there staring at a huge steel door that sealed Stable 2 away from the horrors or nothingness outside, and at the two guard ponies who blocked my way. I had my saddlebags packed with apples and necessities, even a big book of arcane sciences for something to read. I had 2 canteens around my neck. I was ready to go, but the Overlord was making sure there were no follow-up acts. I can't read that word. insistence and glowering looks weren't getting me anywhere. My horn was glowing, but they stood their ground unimpressed. They weren't going to let me anywhere near the control panel.
Hey, you're the filly who let our Velvet Remedy go outside.
One of the guards inquired daringly, taking a bullying step forward. The other guard looked away in disgust. I'm not sure if he was disgusted at me or at the overmare or felt like the overmare she knew about ponies who wanted to take it out on me. I was kind of hoping it was a forward armor, considering what I was about to do to them. Thud! The metal locker above them dropped on their heads, knocking them both cold. Earth ponies. They never see that levitating something up behind your back trick coming. Scrolling. I was at the controls, entering the passcode from Velvet Remedy's pip buck when the overmare's voice boomed through the nearby speakers. Stop! I order you this instant! Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Guards! I want every guard pony at Stable 2 door! Stop that filly! Oh crap! My hooves flew up at the main switch of the door, and I prayed to Celestia that the code had worked. Then with all my strength, I threw the switch. A loud clanging filled the air, followed by a hissing of steam, and a great rumble shook the room as I watched. The massive bolt that held the door to Stable 2 shut slid back. A huge hinge arm swung down, attaching itself to the door, and the teeth-hurting squeal pulled the massive steel door out and away. Randomly, I found myself thinking of my mother's voice. Stable 2's barn door doesn't swing that way. The door to Stable 2 wasn't supposed to swing at all. Even though I threw the switch, I was stunned to see it actually open. You don't have to do this, little Pip, isn't it? You have to do this, little Pip, isn't it? The overmare's voice kicked me out of my stupor. I could hear the hooves of the galloping guards drawing near. I took a step towards the door. Don't worry, I'll bring her back. No, you won't. If you leave here, you'll never be let back in. For a moment of unfairness stung. The overmare was willing to send out a search party to bring Velvet Remedy back, but then Velvet Remedy was special, and I was not. Part of me wanted to turn back, crawl into my room and my dreary but safe life. Drawing myself up, I stepped out the door. Okay, now from here on out, I have no idea what's going to happen, so let's see what happens. With a final hiss and clang, the steel door of Stable 2 closed irrevocably behind me. I didn't know what I expected to find just beyond the door, but it certainly was an alarmed, dark hallway that smelled of rotten timbers and sulfuric air. I was no longer in the stable, but I wasn't outside yet either. I was in limbo. I turned on my pip bucket's light. I recordedly gasped at the skeletons of long dead ponies which littered the hall. The outside of the stable door was marred with ponies. These had slammed on it until their hooves cracked and shattered trying to get in. Moving forward quickly, I discovered that the hallway opened into an old room with stairs leading up to a horizontal door with a shattered lock. The entrance to the outside world from the outside world of the stable had been clearly disguised as a door to a humble apple cellar. And by disguised, I meant that the person who built it had been building an apple cellar. Interesting. Applejack. At least now we know what Applejack was doing in Feeling Pink, or Pinky Sense episode. Taking a deep breath, I trotted up the stairs and swung open the cellar door and stepped outside. Footnote: level up. New perk. Chasseur La Filly. Plus 10% damage, the same sex, and unique dialogue options with certain ponies. Strange. Anyway, that appears to be the end. Hope you've enjoyed Chapter 2. Or, no wait, 1. Chapter 1. There. So, yeah. Thank you all for listening. And I will do Chapter 2 whenever I get the chance to.